Well, I'll say good evening, Drew, because you will be the face to greet some people who start up this video. So smile for the camera. Okay. Yes, we have, as I said, a little over 50 50 RSVPs, but only less than a dozen now or at the moment. And we're just collecting some initial information so that in a couple of minutes when we get underway for real, we'll have a bit of a head start. JohnGordon has given us some stuff with Sergey. What about Rana? Rana, are you there? I mean, you haven't shown a picture and your mic is off, but you were the first person to arrive.
Oh, true. Sorry, I turned on my mic just now.
No problem. Turn on your video?
Don't feel like it. That's okay.
All right, don't turn on your video then. You do sound like a real person.
Yeah, I'm not a robot.
As given, will you be requesting assistance? And if so, if you could give us a few details now, that will just expedite matters through the course of the session.
Sure. I need to restore my website to a point around March 22nd. I lost my post past this point. So I need to figure out if I need to buy a subscription because I rebuilt my site using minimal blogger theme.
I'm sorry, say it again. Which theme?
Minimal blogger.
Minimal blogger.
Yeah, and then once the creator trial expired, I lost the new posts and the new website I created. So, or many of its features. So I guess I have to upgrade to a trial, I suppose. Yeah, I just needed assistance to basically get my post back. I just want my material, my content back. Yes.
Okay.
Robin, we're not getting any audio from you.
I beg your pardon?
Yeah, well, your audio went silent for a few 10 seconds.
Okay, I think that was just me making notes as Rana was speaking.
Oh,
just you know, I won't remember any details otherwise.
Robin, my website is Metro Magazine Pro.
Okay, hang on just a sec. Metro Magazine Pro. Metro Magazine Pro. Why don't you pop the link to it in the chat window?
Okay.
And then everybody can find it easily. And just as a tip, if people aren't used to using chat in Zoom, if you have a link in the chat, chat message, you can just simply click on it, and it will then go to whatever browser you have opened and open a new tab and display whatever that link is. So you don't have to copy it or drag and drop it or whatever. You just hit it and it goes. So John, I'm not seeing your website URL in the chat window.
No, I haven't done it yet.
I
missed everything you just said, trying to figure out where the chat was. So there it is.
There it is. Okay.
Guys, one question. If my website is not published yet, because I'm still setting up the thing, how can I share the access to you?
Well, if you don't have a site, then you can't share what you don't have, right?
What
do you have any site at all that you're working with?
Excuse me?
Are you yeah, just explain a little more. So you haven't yet created a WordPress site?
It's a WordPress site. It's a blog. It's still under construction.
Right.
So, and I cannot find.
So the site is being hosted, right?
Yes.
Right. Well,
hosted,
why wouldn't
hosted but not published yet?
Right. So it's all private, or just simply you haven't started promoting it?
No, because it's not ready to be.
No, but I mean, if you're working on it, then you're connecting with it presumably from your office or home. So you're dialing into the site for the purposes of providing help. That's all we would, we'd be happy with that rather than nothing. So that we could see, for example, the plugins or theme settings or whatever else The fact
Right.
that it's not yet made public
Yeah,
is, that's not our concern or our need, because
okay,
we're not looking at it for its content, but rather for its internal
okay,
mechanics and operation.
yeah, exactly.
Drew,
Yeah.
you were going to say something.
Yeah, Sergey, you can always share what you can see on the Zoom screen share.
Screen
So
share.
that
Right.
way we'll be able to see it even though it's not public. You can show it to us.
Oh, right. I guess that's a point I should have made, Sergey, is that when you share the URL to share your site through Zoom,
Yeah,
you are not making it public other than within our own little group.
okay.
So this is your site, the Ultimate Dandy blog.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
So, once again, I'm still a new user of WordPress, not very advanced. I had some previous experience, created a website, but on a different platform. So I do understand let's say, the general principles, but coming up to smaller details, it might be more tricky and more challenging. So that's why I'm here today.
Excellent. Okay. Dan. I was putting down the Ultimate Daddy first. Oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, no, it's the Ultimate Dandy blog. Got it. Okay. So why don't we start off with Sergey? So what in particular, ask us a question or express a need with respect to where you're at with what you're doing with the site.
So when we come to the front page, this is still some kind of draft, and the menu is not live. If you click onto the menu, it doesn't bring you anywhere because the links are not inserted, like all these links on the top and at the bottom. They completely dead. So in this,
Well, they're not dead. They're just not. They simply don't have a URL.
yeah, yeah,
and so therefore don't
And-
work. But they're still in the code and in the layout of the page, and you've done all but the last step. So that means something. I mean, it's not a nothing. In other words.
And when I was trying to find either pages or navigation, when I was trying to find the exact place where I can add the right link to the button.
Now, are you referring again to the menu?
Yeah.
So are you? So is your question then? Where do I find the menu so that I can work on it?
I do see the menu, but I don't see the right simple function where I can
Okay,
add the links.
show us the menu. I mean, what you showed us was the page with the menu, but not the menu in the sense of set up, configure, modify, revise in the back end of WordPress, right? So do you know where to find in your dashboard the menu?
I think I got stuck. It's
Okay, so why don't we just go back to the page you started with, which was the dashboard, the main dashboard page.
Yeah. It's very slow. I don't know why.
Okay, now this what we want to go to the dashboard, the main page, and so just see where normally there'd be something in the top left corner there that would be, you click on that and then that would take you add template parts. Well, yeah, just keep clicking to get us out of this. Keep clicking out. Yeah, go click out. Yeah, click that. Okay, now we're at the dashboard. Let's wait till it populates. Boy, this really is slow.
It
In
is.
fact, this is borderline not usable.
Yeah, that's true.
Sergey, it's not normally this slow.
No, no.
I wonder if the Zoom screen sharing is slowing it down.
Mm, hard to say.
What machine are you running on right now?
It's MacBook Air.
I'm sorry?
MacBook Air.
MacBook Air. Well, that should have enough juice to be able to handle Zoom and a share plus run the local version of this in your browser. We're not going to be much help to you if we can't see anything.
Right. Okay.
I guess okay, here it is. But if we're going to go through this on each page or each thing we do, we won't accomplish anything. Are you aware of something that WordPress.org has created called the Playground?
Not really.
Okay, if you just type in WordPress Playground in Google, it will take you to a site which has been set up specifically to allow you to play with a site, not your own site here, but a site created just for you to play with for that moment.
Yeah.
And then find your way around the site, look at things, experiment with things, try something. No matter what you do to the site, well, first of all, it'll be fast, right? So there'll be no performance issues at all for several reasons. Anyway, I'm mentioning that to you because we'll give it one more try to go to the, so let's look at, are you trying to scroll down the page?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, unless somebody objects, I mean, I think this is too slow for us to work with. I mean, spend all your time waiting for it.
Yeah, I think right now it's a waste of your time, guys.
Right, but that's why I mentioned this thing called the WordPress Playground. There's a part of the WordPress.org site. It's a separate point called Learn, and it's resources to learn WordPress, right? And there are a bunch of tutorials there, videos, which are very well done. And when you pick the ones for beginners, you'll find that they really do start with no preconception of you knowing something and just take you through the basics of going around your site doing different things. You would be able to find a tutorial on menus with a block theme in like 1 minute or less. And it'll be, 5 to 15 minutes long. And you can have your playground in one tab or one browser window, and you can have the tutorial in the other browser window. Learn something here, try it out here, back and forth, right? It's a very good way to learn quickly because these tutorials are all hands-on. They are all here. Let us show you step 1, step 2, step 3. You can sign up for the mailing list for new learning resources because they're often meetups, which mean you can ask questions and be answered, on the spot. Sort of like what we do, but on a very specific topic. I hope that's been of some help.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I will dig into. I was hoping to avoid digging very deep, but once again,
These are not deep. In 5 minutes, to find where are the menus located, what's the basic idea of how they work. Give me one example of create a menu item, populate it with a URL, give it a URL,
but
style it a bit, and then that's your, one session.
if I understand correctly, depending on the particular design theme.
Actually, for something like menus with a block theme, that is I would say not an issue, but at a minimum, it's a much smaller issue than with non-block themes, where the developer can handle menus in their own way with their own labels in something called the customizer.
Okay.
So I am a fan of the block theme and block paradigm that WordPress has shifted to. So what we're talking about in terms of block theme and so on is near and dear to my heart, which is not the case for all the members of our group here. Most of them will be in classic themes. So, and that's why, so it's learn.wordpress.org for the one, and the other one you'll find the URL to just with WordPress Playground in a search engine.
Okay.
And bear in mind that you can go to YouTube and get a copy or look at the video of this session and see a transcript of exactly what we're talking about right now, and just refresh your recollection of details in that way.
Okay.
You'll get an email from me with a link to the YouTube, and then two different versions of a transcript. So that could be a follow-up item for you.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Who's next? How about Rana? Is it Rana or Rana? It must be Rana.
It's Rana, actually.
Rana.
Yeah. Like I said, I just want to revert my website to a previous point. I accidentally changed the theme from manifest to minimal, and so I played around with it to make it look like the old website, but then a week later I lost the changes because the trial expired. You need a trial, I guess, to access the vault where you can go back and restore your website to a previous point. So
Sorry, what host is this? What's your hosting arrangement?
it's a WordPress.com website.
Okay. And you're on the free version?
Yep.
And right. And so your trial timed out and your content is sort of locked away, so to speak, right?
Yeah, I can only see the last post I made on the old theme, March 22nd, and then I don't see any of the posts after that point.
And
yeah.
you definitely know there were obviously posts after that point, right? Because
yeah. I made some original content posts on the website, so now I feel shitty because I lost my material. I lost that stuff, so I want to see if I can retrieve it. That's like my main goal.
I'm not particularly knowledgeable about WordPress.com as a host. Drew, how about you?
No, I haven't used it. Rana, do you know if you used a backup plugin to back up any of your website?
I did export my website at one point. In terms of the plugins, I'm not sure that I used that. It sounds familiar. I feel like I might have, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, backup plugins, a popular one, for example, are Updraft Plus is a big one. There are a few others. There's a plugin called Duplicator. I think Duplicator is a paid plugin. I think Updraft Plus is the
Duplicator has a free version.
Oh, they do have a free version, do they?
But
Okay.
by upgrading to Pro, you get more cloud storage providers and a few other little details. But it's primarily that I think you're limited to one or two providers, and there's 5 or 6 that you might well be interested in. So they don't have OneDrive, and I'm not sure if they have Google Drive, but that's what you pay for in the Pro version. And actually, Duplicator was bought by somebody in the last 6 months or a year. Was it Yoast? Anyway, I used it and was happy with it for its base function, which was simply to duplicate a post or page, which was a very convenient thing to have as a tool. And then I also used it for backups because you could schedule them, and in the Pro version you could have incremental backups as well, I think. But Rana, I was just going to check to see I would be surprised if WordPress.com does not automatically back up sites for the free tier, just simply because it's a sort of thing that an early user of WordPress could not understand or be prepared for. And so, they'd want to safeguard against that. So let's just try WordPress.
I'm just looking at the WordPress.com documentation. and
Yeah,
it
that's
looks
what I
like
was referring to.
it looks like backup and restore is a premium feature.
Really? Okay. What
Yeah.
about subscribing for the lowest tier just for 1 month to recover the content
Yeah, that's what I want to do.
and then shift back?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
shift to go to any other host you want or back down to the free tier.
Yeah, I also want to make sure I preserve my content going forward because obviously I've had the free edition for like 10, 15 years now. So I was just going to ask what the best plan for that would be, I guess, would be the creator trial or sorry, creator, or you're saying the pro plan? Is that the like,
Well, whatever the base,
$1 million.
whatever the next tier up from the free one.
Yeah.
Okay.
It looked based on the
Great.
documentation, it appears that the backup and restore is available in the creator and the entrepreneur plan. So I would
Okay.
go with whatever is the cheaper. I guess the creator is probably the cheaper of the two.
Okay. Yeah, I think here it says it's $33 a month. So there is a cheaper plan for, I don't know what it's called. I don't know where trying to find the site with the pitches there, but yeah, okay. I'll try to give it a shot and
Rana, did you
hopefully-
say that you'd been on WordPress.com for a number of years?
Yeah, I've been using the website since like high school, so at least like 15 years or so, 20
Wow.
years.
So
Yeah,
you're quite comfortable with it.
I love the website. Yeah, I use it for all my writing and stuff. So
Because that means you're sort of, you're in the block world, right? You're using the block editor and so on.
yeah. I didn't know I had a choice. It went from classic to block. I haven't reverted it. It's all right.
Well, I mean, but WordPress.com being, the automatic, service that they provide to the WordPress world, you can bet that they feature, promote, support, enhance, and do everything they can to make the block scheme work on WordPress.com, because that's obviously a tremendous sort of advertisement for this changeover, which is taking a number of years to occur, and which as yet has not produced all that many conversions from the classic theme world. Anyway, so you're happy with the free tier, but for this one particular problem, right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, I
Okay.
lost. Yeah, that's right.
So backup with Duplicator or Duplicator Pro or Updraft is a really good idea. I'm just trying to think now whether WordPress.com would make anything difficult in terms of staging a site outside of it and bringing the site in, but that's not something that you're concerned about at the moment. So there's nothing in the free tier that you need other than just this restore operation, right?
Basically, yeah. I think I have exported all the content it's saved, so I'll
Right.
make sure of that.
You could also contact WordPress.com support and just describe to them what you're planning to do. Go to the paid tier in order to, recover content and, get your site back up and running, and then switch down to the free tier. Do they have any suggestions or recommendations in that regard? Right? They may, and if it's only going to take you 10 minutes to write an email and make a request, then the chance of them giving you something useful, I would suggest make that a worthwhile thing to do.
Okay, sure.
All right.
But going forward, I would definitely use something like Updraft Plus to back up your site to a third-party cloud storage so that it's off of you have a second copy of it off of WordPress.com, so that they can't basically hold your data hostage anymore.
Yeah, and Rana, that's what I was talking about in terms of cloud providers. The way the backup programs work is that you can save the backup you're creating of your site directly to cloud storage, some, Google Drive, OneDrive, or whatever, as opposed to download it to your local machine and then upload it, which was the way we used to do it, or what you do when you don't have a plugin that offers the feature Save Direct. Now, that's a particular value if you set backups to run, every night or twice a day or Monday to Friday only, not weekends or whatever. The fact that it sort of gets backed up and safe in another cloud location from your site is the security that Drew is recommending.
Got it.
Okay. How about John Gordon?
Hi, everybody.
Is your name John Gordon or John Gordon as two names?
So my parents had a sick sense of humor, and they called me John Gordon Menzies, and then referred to me all my life as Gordon. When I became an ordained metaphysical minister, my identification was John Gordon Menzies. I had to be referred to as John. So now everything's John Gordon, and every conversation I have to explain. And then when I'm sitting in an airport and they call John Menzies, I'm looking around wondering who they're talking to. So my name's really Gord.
So Gordon is what you prefer to be called.
Yes, please.
Well, why not just say, what's your name? It's John Gordon, and I prefer Gordon. And then motor on. It's like me with my last name. I have in my whole life never once seen anybody spell it correctly without being assisted. And since most people, once you start to spell your name out, take a second or two to grasp what you're doing. Oh, I should spell it correctly. And he's giving me, so the first letter or two, then you pause, back up and go those first two letters again, because the person won't have picked them up. So it becomes a routine, right? Just automatically you do this because otherwise my name will always be misspelled.
Yeah, I misspelled it when I first started to write it.
Okay.
So, you want me to share my dashboard?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I see you have an all caps site title.
Say again?
You have a site title, which is in all capital letters,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you click and want to save the URL to your site, the URL, which is the address, and the title that you've given the site in WordPress, and it comes out all capitals, that's all. Which in the sort of etiquette of the internet is considered shouting.
Yeah, I understand that. I never connected the dots. Hold on a second. How come I can't get out of here?
Get out of here. What are you trying to do?
Well, it's sharing this screen, and I don't want it to share that screen. I want it to share my desktop. Let's stop sharing. And okay, I got it. I'll go here. Registered wedding officiant. I have to go to my dashboard, so I got to log into a different place. Hold on one sec.
No problem. We're not panicking.
Oh, there it is. Dashboard. Okay. And now go back here and zoom, and share. I swear, every time I go to share my screen, the button moves. And share. Okay.
All right.
So, Robin, you think that I should not capitalize the whole website name?
Well, I just mentioned the sort of general notion that all caps is the equivalent of shouting, and that's an email. Personally, all caps is not considered particularly readable, and that's why there isn't a newspaper or periodical that puts headlines or, post titles or whatever, article titles in all caps. They might have the title to the publication, but then that's in the print world. Anyway, I'm just saying that it kind of breaks a couple of different rules.
Okay.
And if you didn't intend to do that, or hey, I'm going to be different just so people notice me, then upper and lower case, initial caps only would be the alternative.
Okay. Thanks for the input. Okay, so let me go to my pages.
Right. Actually, you wanted posts to start with, right? Images to post.
So let me show you.
Sure, go ahead. You go ahead. Just whatever works for you.
So meet the officiant. So I can go here to meet the officiant. And down at the bottom, I have a sidebar layout where I can put a column. So people, I think this is the function here, is so people can add comments. But
well, there are two things going on. One is having a sidebar, I know, left or right or whatever, or no sidebar. And then what do you want to put in the sidebar? Well, it could be a variety of things, including, I would think, comments. I mean, I have not put comments in the sidebar, but I don't see a reason why not. It's just another form of dynamic content, which block layouts are handled with great facility. So the question is, in the design of your website, are we on a page or a post, by the way? This is are we in a page or a post? Visibility.
Page. So if we can just pause for a moment. I don't know how to use posts. So history, backstory is I created this probably almost 2 years ago.
Right.
And I kept it minimal. And I had used Squarespace before, so I tried to replicate that experience. And so I eliminated the post and I just went to the page and I got it as close to what I wanted as I could. But now, if I need to learn how to use posts to be able to post stuff about my activity and invite comments and show pictures, maybe that's what I need to do and leave the website the way it is. I just don't.
Comments are normally associated with posts as opposed to pages.
Okay, so comments are with.
I'm not sure, just off the top of my head, whether comments on posts is a sort of a thing that's easily set up, just like adding or subtracting comments from posts would be, which you can do either for all posts or you can turn it on and then turn it off individually by post, or you can go the other way and have no comments and turn comments on just for certain posts. But if somebody can look up on Google, do WordPress pages, are WordPress pages allowed to have comments? And then the answer will be quickly yes or no. Well, why don't I do that? Give me 1 second here. Google. Drew.
Yeah, actually, Gord, I have a question for you. So is it that you want comments on this page?
So as a minister, I'm also developing an officiant wedding business. So I want people to be able to provide, comments so other people can see their experience.
Oh, so you're looking sort of like testimonials, for example.
Okay, I like that.
Okay, just a quick, run at Google, and comments are available or can be put on or turned on for pages and or posts. So it's your choice. But there's a fundamental sort of notion in the WordPress sort of paradigm, the community, sort of the platform, I guess is the proper word. Pages are considered to be content which is sort of not necessarily evergreen, but is expected to stay around in a given sort of condition or content for a considerable period of time. So, for example, an about page is a page because you don't change the about page each week or each month or even each year. The same thing would be true for a contact page or a sign up for this subscription page. Those don't change, or at least are only changed when, you know, there's an underlying reason besides, hey, I just have an opinion to express and now I feel differently about it. Posts, on the other hand, are where WordPress originated. And that was this basic idea of a a sequence of chunks of content organized by time, like a journal would be, and then displayed back in date order with categories and keywords to find your way around. But it essentially was stuff that may be a great post and wildly popular this week, and then not a single person in the world cares about it next week. So it's ephemeral content which is time sensitive or time limited, or here's my latest thoughts on subject X. And I'm not going to do a compilation of the 5 posts on this topic, but I'll give you the links kind of thing. So it's move the ball forward, but in steps, not like a page where a page should do something on its own, you know, like contact, about, blah, blah, blah. All the content on that given topic is on one page. Now, I'm not sure if you'd want comments on pages, given the role of pages. You wouldn't necessarily want comments on your contact page. I mean, who cares about what people's comments are when they're trying to reach you? I know I may be wrong, because, you know, everybody has their own taste, but I'm just saying, normally I wouldn't expect to find them on that page. However, if you did a 4 or 5 pages on some aspect of your work that would be of ongoing value to people over time, comments may be the smartest thing in the world, in the sense of, you know, attracting interest and learning what people think and other opinions, etc. I mean, WordPress is great for that. So that makes sense as a page if the content is this type I've described.
Right,
if it's
so,
just, here's
hold
what
on.
I did last week, then comments would be of a different nature.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me just go back here for a second. Oh, that's not giving me what I want. Just a minute. Let me go here. So here's my front page.
Right.
So would it be
Pretty much all that I
see?
see there are pages.
Right. So if I added a page here for recent weddings and then made that more like a living document rather than a static document, and I could invite comments there, would that
Yes, I mean, you could, there would be advantages to this kind of content as a page and some advantages to it as a post. The post being more informal, quicker to knock out, less sort of stress on you about what's this going to look like in 3 months or 6 months, or am I going to have to go back and sort of edit or curate it or whatever. So if you think it's that sort of thing, like announcements, but they move quickly and they happen each week and people comment on what they're interested in, but then it moves on, well, then a post makes sense. And just while I think of it, there is nothing to starting to use posts in your site. I mean, nothing in the sense that it's a built-in thing you can't get rid of. It's like deep in the core of WordPress, all these facilities. So the fact that you haven't made any use of it doesn't have the effect of changing anything. It's still there, ready to go as soon as you want. There are options, comments being one of them, for example. But in both the case of a page and a post, are you aware of the fact that they're created based on templates?
You said that with hope. I'm really naive about how.
Okay, I mean, just say yes or no. I mean, because if you're not familiar with templates, then I'll just give you a little bit of a pointer, and then that's something you got to sort of think about.
Oh,
how
sorry.
You want to go about it.
I understand the template format. I mean, that's the same for pages, right?
Well, yeah. Pages and posts each start off with their own default template. that
Okay.
comes with WordPress built in.
Right.
A theme may modify that layout. Here's a better page layout or a post layout or a both layout that me, the developer, is put into this block theme, right? But the key here is that if we were to go to the site editor list of templates and click on the page template, then there's question about sidebars, right sidebar, left sidebar, no sidebar. That would be answered because either the sidebar is set up or not in that template. Probably not.
Well,
So
mine,
if you
I had
wanted to
turn
add a
it off.
sidebar, you know, then the question is it to the template that I want to add a sidebar so that all posts or pages, whatever you're working on, hereafter will have their layouts based on this template with a sidebar.
I would actually question whether using comments for testimonials is really a good idea at all. I've never seen testimonials done in comments before on any website.
Well, I would
which might-
consider testimonials to be a page sort of content item. Would you?
Well, actually, a much better method is to use Google reviews for that.
Well, I
'Cause
do.
that- Yeah, and that's
But when people,
Mhm. Go
sorry,
ahead.
Drew.
Yeah, go ahead. You were saying that you do use Google reviews, yeah.
Yeah. So when people go to the website, you know, a young bride is a bride to be is trying to source out an officiant to have positive comments all in the same place. To me, that makes the most amount of sense.
Yeah, that's a good idea because the Google reviews get you ranked higher in Google. If you get more of them. So that's a good reason to have all of your testimonials as Google reviews. Now, there are plugins that you can get to display your Google reviews on your website, and that I think is probably a better tack here.
Yeah, but I think we're still talking about creating pages that use the page template and this basic notion of you become familiar with the layout of your pages now. I mean, what is the starting point that I usually have? Do I want to change that starting point? That's what the theme does. Now, in regard to comments, you know, it's very valuable to compile the testimonials into one page because of the greater impact that, you know, half a dozen glowing testimonials will have. I wouldn't see this as being comment worthy either. I mean, again, pages do not generally have comments because they don't serve any purpose. Now, what I would also suggest is that you get testimonials in a shortened form, in a lesser number, on your front page and on other pages potentially, because testimonials are so valuable. Why not have a little block on your homepage that has 3 testimonials, but it's only the first sentence or two and a little picture or something. And then you click on one of those and it takes you to the testimonial page and to the full version of the testimonial.
So like in this instance here, add a section here with a couple
and it would
bullet
just be,
points.
you know, add a row, add 3 columns, add a text with image block, and that's your testimonial row, right? And then the links between the testimonial items, you know, we call them cards or tiles or whatever, just out of convenience, right? I think tiles was popular at one point, but now it's cards. So these cards, each for a testimonial, could be rotating as well, so that, you know, could have a button or an arrow when you click and you get a next 3, and the next 3 after that, if you had 9 of them, for instance. Or you could stack 3 across, 3 down, and have a good size block. But your homepage layout doesn't really lend itself to a larger than single row. And you want to kind of make it look like it's part of the flow of the page, so it doesn't have a lot of structure around it. Like it's not in a box, it's not made to look different. It just kind of naturally flows from wherever you put it, a conversational kind of way.
Yeah.
Like, hey, meet some of the people who've used my services and, if you know, and love them.
Okay, so where can I go to get a tutorial on how to do these things that we've discussed here?
Okay, specifically which though? Because
Well, the one that you just mentioned was interesting. Drew's comment about migrating the Google comments over to the website, like how would I set that up? Is that its own page? Like,
well, I think Drew's recommending that you bring the Google review content together in a page in a layout which you set, which you decide, but which partly comes from some Google process. And Drew, did you say there was a plugin specifically for this?
I don't know of a specific one, but I'm sure that there are plugins to display Google reviews on your website, because lots of people do
Right. So
it.
that's really the key phrase, Gordon, is the one that Drew just expressed. So if you Google that, you'll find thousands of posts and resources, because Google's a gigantic outfit, and anything they promote it tends to be big. So there's bound to be a lot of instructions, or at least details of sort of how this mechanism works. And so what you're looking for is a plugin to facilitate importing Google reviews content into a WordPress site.
yeah. And,
So that's the sort of, that's what you're looking for. And I'm not sure of anything.
yeah, I guess I'm going to experiment a little bit. I mean, maybe I'd like to have a dynamic page that I could go in and just change pictures and comments, you know.
Yes, but actually that doesn't distinguish between posts and pages, because that you can do that with both of them.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think maybe it makes sense if I'm gonna migrate reviews or import reviews from Google, I would set up a page, but I'd also maybe try and design it so that I could add pictures and, you know, other comments, and this thing I could go in and update on a regular basis.
Sure. I don't see why you couldn't do that quite straightforwardly.
Yeah.
Jumping back though to the point a couple of minutes ago, to learn about templates from a beginner's point of view, where do I find them? What are they for? Show me one being used. Show me a sidebar being added to a template, right? And then the comment that I made to Sergey, on the left-hand side, you'll have a window with learning.wordpress.org tutorial content, a video, right? You go there, big long list, broken up into different topics, different levels, and so on, and excellent quality. And then on the right-hand side, or whichever side you want, is WordPress Playground. Your free spin up a site just for you to do this tutorial on, and then throw away with a click of a button and go back to your own site. There will be tutorials on, not sure if I've seen one on this Google thing with reviews, but certainly anything else in regard to page versus post. For example, there are tutorials just on the question of, well, like, why do we have these two different things? What are they for?
Yeah.
And as I recall, the video is only like 5 minutes long.
Okay, cool. Could you give me that address again?
Learn.wordpress.org.
Learn.wordpress.
They should put a standard link to this in the dashboard for all new WordPress installations.
Yeah. Well, the way WordPress.org as a site works is it has like 5 major subsites. One is called Learn. So therefore it's learn.wordpress.org. Another one's called Plugins, and it's called plugins.wordpress.org. Another one, themes.wordpress.org, right? So once you're familiar with the scheme, it just stays in your head, and you can go from there. So that's the tutorials there, and then I might as well get the URL for WordPress Playground.
Yeah, I noted that one earlier.
Yeah, but I might as well put it in for anybody else, or that way it'll go with the video.
Okay.
Here we are, and they just started doing something. They also have a version. They have a browser add-on now that lets you run WordPress in your browser, like a complete standalone web server for a WordPress site, internal, running as an extension to your browser. That's pretty interesting.
I have no idea what you just said. I don't get
Oh,
what
this
advantage.
that running WordPress, like for which you need a web server, right, and a site, now can be entirely a process within a browser's page, right? So all I'm saying is that the number of ways you can work on a site has grown to make it much more convenient than it was not so long ago.
Oh, peace.
All right, let me just get that thing here going. Okay, so here's the playground, and actually that's on the .org site too. So here's right. I think for Sergey, I see here on the front page of Learn, how to create a menu with the navigation block. 12-minute tutorial. Sounds good to me. Now, you were mentioning images. So was your question, how does one add an image?
No, the, the question was how I set up the page to be able to pop an image in and have commentary beside it. But I get it now. That's enough to get me started.
Right, but in a nutshell, you have somewhere on a page or post, you'll have some chunk of text, right?
Yep.
In a text block.
Yeah.
And the text block will be in some container like a column or a row.
Yeah, I got it. And then I add a text image or an image beside
all
it.
you do is when you're in the text block is the button there will say add a new block, and you'll just type in image,
Yeah.
and an image block will pop up, and that's where your image goes.
Yeah, perfect.
That's the drill.
Yeah. I just needed to have this dialogue to say, okay.
That's what, sure. I mean, that's what we're here for. I mean, exactly.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's just the language of what are things called. What is it I'm not sure what I'm asking for. I'll tell you what I think it is, and then you can sort of put it in terms that make sense that I can then look something up with.
That's the hardest part for me is language.
Well, in fact, learning anything, terminology is a critical thing. And unfortunately, in many avenues, including WordPress, it seems almost a diabolical plot on the part of the people who create the documentation, who are usually developers, that they wish us to become as illiterate as they are. And so they quite conveniently use terms which mean the opposite of what they appear to a non-technical person, or which are so vague and obtuse, and then they describe or explain it to you, and you say, well, to tell you the truth, I have no idea what you just described. I'm no further along.
Yeah.
And they're not above changing the terminology either.
Quite regularly. And so the editor that you would use to work on a theme element, like a template, has had like 4 different names in 2 years. Fortunately, if you did understand the use of the first term, then just changing the label doesn't make all that much difference, because you understand what's going on with the editor. And so it's kind of like, oh, well, so now it's a more accurate label. Great. Way to go, guys. Believe it or not, or let's not believe it or not, but the guy who's the principal architect of this block paradigm that WordPress has adopted refers to pages and posts and all forms of WordPress content that sort of stand alone in a tab of a browser window as documents. Well, they may very well be technically documents, but I can't think of who in the WordPress world, if I said to them, well, I've got this, I've got a document, I can't figure out what to do with it. And they're referring to a post. Who's going to figure that out? Anyway, not to rant on, but terminology is something WordPress has made not terminology, but documentation has become a priority with WordPress in the last 18 months. And it's improved markedly.
Oh, cool.
Remarkably, in fact. However, it's still confusing and chaotic because when 6.5 comes out or came out, was it last week? The documentation's not all up to date, and all the changes have been made in 500 different places about where 6.5 changes. It'll take a month at least to sort of do 500 small text changes and updates and new screenshots. And just think of screenshots. Every time they make a UI layout, new screenshots have to be made. Well, that's the last thing these guys do to getting the code out and debugged and on to the next set of revisions where the excitement is.
Yeah.
This bloody documentation shit.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the good tutelage. I have to beg off here. I've got some.
Could you do me a
conflicting-
favor and stop by the event page on Meetup and just throw in a couple sentences saying, I came to this Meetup hoping to learn or find or do whatever. That's one sentence. And then, hey, I found it quite useful or good, or I encourage other people to try these people out. They're helpful.
So you want a testimonial on your website?
You're a better person to encourage people to come to this Meetup than I am, because
I'd be pleased to.
It's a testimonial effect I'm asking for.
Yeah, no, I got it. I'd be pleased to do that.
Great.
I'm not sure I know how to get there.
You just, get to the Meetup page. I'll give it to you.
Yeah. So,
Coming. It's going to be there. I just put it there. There it is.
okay. Copy. Open link. Copy link. All right.
Or
Thank
just
you,
click on
everybody.
it. Click on it and you're good to go.
Yeah. Oh,
See you again. Come back and see us. Tell us how you're making out.
I will. Thanks so much, guys. Take care.
Okay, take care. Mr. Anderson.
Yeah.
Do people sort of address you and think of the Matrix?
So,
There's that segment in the Matrix, Mr. Anderson.
no. You may recall the last two meetups I've been in there, and I was having a lot of trouble with.
I'm having a little trouble hearing you, and I turned my volume up.
I was having some trouble the last 2 months with some kind of interaction that was causing a bunch of spinning when anybody tried to get access my site through the internet.
All right. I turned the volume way up, and hopefully the next person I turn it down, because otherwise they'll blast me out of my chair. So how can we help you today, Doug?
Well, I went through WordPress forums, and I went through my host and everything else, and they gave me all kinds of bad advice. And finally, I solved it myself just a day or so ago. I think so. I think the problem, although it's not simply intermittent, it's the problem with Spectra. But anyway, so I'm fiddling around with that. Anyway, I've actually got my site back now, and I'm back to about 2 months ago when I was having when I first sort of started working on it. And I'll share my screen, and I'll show you a few things I want to figure out. Okay, so share screen.
It's weird because turning the volume up on my end doesn't actually change the volume of your voice much. It's surprising. Are you on a Windows machine or a Mac?
This is Windows. Yeah. Let's see. Share my-
Because it could be that you just turned your microphone down.
I'm sure where that is. Let's see.
Drew, do you know where it is?
Yeah.
Are you on a Windows machine?
Yeah, I'm on Windows. It's the microphone sensitivity settings are. Actually, I wonder if you can set it right in Zoom.
I don't think so. Well, let's find out. Preferences, settings, general video, audio, output volume, or input volume is what we want. Or yes, there is an input level for the microphone in the Zoom settings. Doug,
That's where I am, and I've got it's practically up at the top.
In the Zoom settings or your Windows settings?
Zoom setting. Okay, whatever. Anyway, that's fine. I was kind of share my screen here. Back to that.
Well, that's a good catch, Drew. Thanks. I was thinking it.
Okay, so that's
It-
that's my website right now. At least, yeah. All I want is basically, I'm finding that when I fiddle around with
Hold it, Doug. Hold it. I can barely hear you. So you turned the volume up on the Zoom setting for audio? Why don't you show us that?
where I got so many things over here.
Well, it would be on the Mac, you just where is it now? On just the main menu, in the menu bar of the desktop, has where's preferences, settings,
Here we are. Here's the setting here. Okay.
Zoom settings.
You're still watching my. You're on my screen. No, you can't see that. Okay. See that? So I gotta share it. Oh, I gotta share a different screen here. Stop sharing first.
Are you looking for the settings in question?
Looking for the screen that I.
It's the Zoom menu, main menu. The second or third item should be settings, or yeah, it should be settings.
That's the right. You can see it there, right? See that?
We're still seeing your site. So if you have a Zoom window with the settings in it, you have to find that tab and bring that one forward.
I thought I did. Stop share again.
So where are you stuck right now?
This is the Zoom settings.
Have you found the Zoom application and its menu bar? The thing that goes across the top of the screen when the application's running? Doug, you have to tell us what you're looking at or for or whatever, because we're not getting anywhere.
Well, I thought we were. I'm looking at it. It's a window which is sitting on top of another window.
Okay, so why don't you just get the Zoom, click Zoom window, the main one, click that so that your menu bar on your desktop shows the Zoom menu choices. Can you do that? Like it can't be that hard to bring the Zoom window forward. That's just one step.
I wouldn't have. It's forward on my machine.
Is it forward on your machine?
I'm surprised that I've not been able to.
Okay, so if you're looking, if that's the foremost browser tab, is the Zoom
Zoom setting,
window or the Zoom is showing Zoom. Is that the case?
Zoom settings, right?
Is that the case? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so go to the menu bar, and in the first menu, at least on my machine, it has an item called settings.
Well, I'm in that window, settings. I'm in that window, settings.
I'm sorry?
In that window, settings.
I just can't hear you. Anyway, what I'll do is I'll show you my window. How do I do that now? Yeah, okay, so let's go to settings. Okay, so now where
I just pasted a huge link in the chat, and it is it's a image of what we're searching for here. So it'll show you a picture of where we're telling you to go.
right, but I think the problem is that he can't get to Zoom, and then from Zoom he can't get the settings, because that's where, you know, for 15 minutes we've been stuck. What I'm trying to figure out is why the, okay, let's try it down here. Let's see. No, Zoom won't display just a preference window or settings window. Pity. I don't think this will do the trick. No. No, that didn't work. Oh, sure. Okay. Let's see. What Drew said. Okay. Right. So that's not the way it's actually going to look in all likelihood. But what it does say is it's audio settings in either in settings. And which settings? Well, the second setting group is audio settings.
The page that I'm on has settings at the top, and it has the general and video and then audio and then share screen, etc. And under the audio, it has on the right hand side, it has speaker, test speaker. Then farther down it has microphone, test microphone. Underneath that it has a bar, and it's practically at the top. It's also when I speak, it's showing up as you can see that.
So you're actually seeing your audio settings, are you? And your microphone sensitivity setting?
Audio profile I've got down below. It's in auto.
So here's another screenshot, and this shows what mine looks like, which is to say, it may look like this, or it may look like the one that Drew showed you, but you can see the section that's called, I can see a section called microphone.
Yeah.
The problem is that, so far as I can tell, Zoom will not share the setting screen. Let me try it again.
There is a setting in Zoom that hides its own screens from the screen share, but I can't remember where that setting is, but you can turn it off.
Probably under video, wouldn't you think?
Probably. Advanced sharing options.
No, I don't think that's under video. Team, Zoom, background effects, recording, profile, stats, accessibility. Yeah, it's the same problem that I made reference to Gordon. The documentation doesn't necessarily stay up to date with changes. So let's try Zoom. Allow settings window to be shared by default on Mac. It's just like working with Chat GPT. To allow participants screen share by default for all your meetings. No.
Change the microphone to see if that makes a difference.
That any better? No? Yes? Nobody's hearing anything, I guess.
So did you adjust the microphone?
It's practically at the top. Oh, hey, that's right. Is it working now? You hearing it better now?
Well, first of all, was it Zoom you changed or your machine?
That was the Zoom, the Zoom settings.
Because it was working better half a minute ago and now it's back to where it was before.
Here, I did change the microphone, and I said, "You got better. Try it again. I'll try it."
Okay, just 5 seconds ago was fine. So
Okay.
it's probably your microphone's position. Do you have a standalone microphone?
That's what I was using, a standalone microphone. Now
Because that's 90% of the problem.
now I'm using the microphone on my video.
Oh,
Right.
the one on your video is a lot better.
Oh, okay. All right, fine. Okay.
Well, not video, machine.
Yeah.
Well, no, I have a separate video camera on the top of my monitor.
Yes, but whether it's external microphone because it's in an external camera or it's an external microphone because it's an external standalone microphone.
Okay. So you can hear me now.
Right.
Okay. Hey, we got that part.
That's a
Okay.
new record for going around in a circle.
Okay. So let's try to share this screen again. See what we got. Right. Let's see. This is where we are. Okay, we'll share that. Okay. Can you see that? Oops.
There we go. Yes, we can.
Yeah, good. Okay, I got more things on my screen right now. Anyway, the things I want to do, and I can't figure out why. It's basically, I'd like to change the font on the header, and I'd also like to change the spacing on this menu and down the side. And I was fiddling around with typography, and basically, I set up the size of this typography. The size that I sort of liked it. But the trouble is, if I click on one of these and I go to another page, is it going to take a while? It's going to take a while because I'm on. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, there we go. I come back, and this is all very, very small now. So I'm not too sure how you control individual elements.
Okay, well, let me just jump in. The two pieces of text you referred to can have completely different text settings, completely different, typography, font, size, color, motion, whatever. They're independent of one another. You can link them, but you haven't here. I think that these are default settings that in the page we're looking at now.
I changed the default settings, and that's what it is. I made it smaller on the one page, and it made it smaller on the other page as well.
Yes, but that may be because you were changing a global setting when you really wanted a page level setting.
Well,
like there's typography for the site as a whole, right?
Yeah.
So you can have several 9 different colors. You can have half a dozen different fonts available, and then you have all the sizes and all the variations of them. And that, if you look at an individual block of text, like just open a new page or a new post and make the first block text, and then just look at all of the choices you have in text.
Right.
Now, those are choices for that block. If you want to make the choices for a block apply to all of the pages of that type, all pages or all posts, for instance, well, then you may recall the discussion with Gordon about templates.
Right,
Templates are the place where you make a change to a layout that persists so that each time you create a new page, the page template with its font sizes is
right.
used. And if you want to change the body text size, you'd go to the the page template and make the change there. If you want all H1 headings everywhere in the site to be a particular font, then that's a global setting. If you want it to vary, whether it's a page or a post, then that's a setting local to the template, or that's a template level change. And then finally, no matter what your template says, no matter what your global settings say, you always have the choice of making an individual block of text, or really anything for that matter, unique in its own single instance with its own completely different typography, different font, different size, different color, whatever you like.
So if
So in
I
other
want-
words, 3 different levels
right,
that define the scope of what setting you're making. Is it site-wide? Is it for posts or pages or both?
okay.
Or is it just some specific page and some specific blocks within that page?
So if I wanted to increase the size of the type on this one, would I go to customize up here?
Well, first of all, you in your head, you're saying, am I on a page or a post?
That's a,
Sure.
well, this is under WooCommerce, and so I'm never too sure quite what you're doing. It's
Is it listed under pages or listed under posts?
it's
Well,
called the
what you need to know whether you're in a post or page just
Well,
automatically all the time, because they're different.
well, it's not a post.
Well, it's a page then.
Then it must be a page, yes. But it's so and it's WooCommerce.
And the reason why that's important is because when it's a page, then you go to the template section and you look for the page template. And when you click on that, it'll have a section for content, right?
Well, if this
And
is WooCommerce, it might be a custom post type because
Yeah, well,
WooCommerce
I
creates
think it
custom
is.
post
Yeah, but that would
types.
still be, you'd still find a template for it, right? A custom post type will have a template for sure if it's WooCommerce. So somewhere there'll be a template to modify,
So we'll go to WooCommerce,
right?
and it says, oops, baby. Come on. Oh, here we go. Settings. Okay, I'll try that.
Well, when you were working with WooCommerce,
Right. And then,
they must have gone through some major section on how to do layouts of pages with WooCommerce data, right?
well, it sort of comes with it. I was actually was rather pleased with just
For things, wait a second, for things like a product page, yes, that'd be WooCommerce, right?
Yeah.
And so are we only talking about things specific to WooCommerce?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's quite possible that there's something that we have to find that's only in WooCommerce. But what was the page we were just looking at a minute ago? What was that one that you were showing us?
They refer to it as the product page.
Okay, so that's a product page. I'm just curious though, can you back up that one step and just show me that page just so I can recall what its content was? Okay.
That's it there, right? Okay. So, and it's basically this. You get there.
Okay, so this is a, sort of a normal product page in the sense that a product name and a price and an add to cart button and so on, right? So this is what we call, you know, whether it's WooCommerce or anywhere else, a product page.
Right.
So there's got to be somewhere in WooCommerce that specifically allows template changes for body content, the description here that we're talking about. There's 3 tabs, right? So there's,
okay.
It may be the same text size for all 3 tabs, but within that block, and WooCommerce has gone block, right? So
Okay.
We're talking blocks here. So what you need to do, let's just find, let's see, WooCommerce, product, template, description. text change. Okay, log into your WordPress website, go to the product edit page for the product you want to edit. Right, so can you find the product edit page for the product you want to edit?
At the top of the screen here, it has
Edit product.
Yeah, I could click on
Let's
that.
go to edit product. So that's what
Yeah.
it says. That's the first step.
Yeah, but I think
Scroll down to product short description or product description section. Click on it.
Okay, well, that's what that takes me to.
Okay. So, and there should be two different kinds of description. The short description and the product description. So is edit product what we're looking at here? Where it's,
there. Here's the product description.
okay, there's the product description. Okay. And you got the classic editor. What a shame. What's the theme here? It's not a block theme then.
The theme I'm using is Astra.
Right, that's not a block theme. Okay. So you're in the old world. No, I get that the text is controlled here by the classic editor, which goes back to 2011. And
Okay.
So you can see here that actually where are the text sizes? Bolding and italics and so on.
Yeah, you probably don't
Drew,
want
do you
to
remember? I haven't used the classic editor in a while. How do you change the font
Yeah.
size?
not in the editor, it's in CSS. It's controlled by the theme. So
Okay, so there should be a WooCommerce setting then for the product description size.
no, it's all going to be in the theme.
Okay. So we go to the theme then. So what you're saying is the text size for the product description block on this individual product page can't be changed in this page.
No. Yeah, you can't change any.
Interesting, because
You can't change fonts in the editor.
right, it says here, depending on which field you want to edit, click on the text area to edit the description, make the desired changes to the text. Okay, that's just text changes. So we don't want.
So you'll want to be in the customizer and look at your text, and what was the text that you originally changed on the front was something that you made smaller and all the text got smaller? Is that right?
That was well, I have to go back for a bit here. Let's just here. See what I got here. I just changed this, which is showing. See if that'll give me anything. That's the usual.
All right.
Stuff. Okay, that's where I changed the original one. It was I changed a lot of things on this. I changed something in the it was in the global, and it changed all the text on that. It changed all of these text here. It changed that text, and it changed the text on that other page, all with one thing.
Okay.
And what I'm trying to do is I like this. I like the size here, but I didn't like the size of the other one.
Okay.
So I'm trying to figure out how to do that.
Okay.
So did we find the setting in this customizer for the product page? Or the setting that would control the text size for a product page?
Well, this is now under the customizer coming from the product page. So I don't think there's anything in here. So we may have to go through this.
Well, yeah. So we have WooCommerce to look at. That's one.
See, this is where we are. This is the single product page right here.
Sure. So let's see that.
And that is just giving you title area, sidebar layout, single product structure, and whether you see them or not, but it doesn't give you anything about sizes. That's the end of it.
What are the things that are grayed out there if you scroll up a bit?
These are grayed out. What, these ones here? Those are the ones that you can't see. Those are the ones.
Ratings, meta, category, and payments. Okay. So if we look at short description, for example, scroll down a bit.
Well,
Okay,
Drew, here's the point that you were making.
and click on short description.
Right.
Oh, okay, so this is,
Just whether you see it or not.
okay, all right, so that's not there aren't actually any settings in there.
Okay, guys, here's something I'm just looking at now that I put the link in for in the chat window. WooCommerce provides a classic style editor for your product description. You can enter HTML markup in the text mode of the editor. Simply put HTML in the short description area of the editor. And so it would be a div that just simply sets the text size through in that product description for the product description by using the text tab of the classic editor.
Well,
These are the only built-in ways to edit the product descriptions with HTML. There is not visual page builder option in WooCommerce for product descriptions. Now, I don't know what the date of this thing, 1 year, 7 months ago. It's a bit stale. Did you get the link there, Doug?
No, I didn't.
Okay, well, I grab it. And the search that produced it was I also included there. Now, are you familiar, you know what CSS is, Doug?
I've tried it. I haven't had much success with it. I did manage to put in CSS to change the size of this column, and that worked fairly nicely. But I found that with CSS, you have to know what that particular element, what name that element has.
Right.
You can't
yeah,
change
now,
it.
And there is a tool that tells you that.
There isn't. Oh, where is that?
there may be other text settings in Astra in the customizer. If we go back out to the higher level in the customizer, the higher level menu.
Go there, I guess. Find Astra.
And go into we're going to go into the customizer, so into appearance
Right.
and customize.
Right. Oh, that gave me that. No, that's not. I wanted this.
Yeah.
Come on. There. Come on. Here we are.
Okay, and we're looking for anything related to text. Maybe scroll down a bit.
If the only way to make a change is with HTML in the product description, then I would think it unlikely to find anything outside of WooCommerce's section there.
Yeah,
You
it
already been
looks
through
like
that one?
yeah, it looks like you may have two options here. One, to put in some custom CSS to change this,
Right.
and the other to if you get the paid version of the Astra theme, they give you a whole lot of extra settings for stuff
Right.
like this.
Robin was saying, so in terms of putting HTML tags into the text, so they're saying that you could basically put HTML tags right into the text you've written.
If you go back to the classic editor, we'll just give you a quick example of what they're talking about. But that's the most cumbersome possible way to do it.
I can do. I'm quite familiar with HTML.
Wait a sec. There's another way to do it using CSS, and that is to create a style sheet for your site in which you can create classes for different text sizes. And then all you have to do is apply the class to a chunk of text, and you don't have to worry about all the little bits of the CSS code. That's controlled from the style sheet. And the style sheet then means that if you want to change that text size for some reason in the future, you only go to one place, change it there, and then every place that's used that class is modified accordingly. It's kind of like templating in that respect. That would be the best. I mean, that's what I would recommend, so that you would have a class for text specific to the short description, the product description, the card or tile, with its text block, have a class for it, and then you can set those text sizes for the whole site in just 3 different places in
Right.
one, in one place, 3 different little spots. Okay, so if we go to, let's just type in like, this is a test, period.
Oh, this is a,
Just type in, this is a test. We're not going to save it, so.
okay. Well, this is something or other, okay.
Oh, you mean this is the text that came with it? No, that's fine. That's fine. That'll do.
Okay, I'll
Then
put it
click over here to the text
Right.
tab.
This is,
No, you don't need to do that now. We've got text.
okay, right.
It was originally empty because it hadn't loaded yet.
Oh, yeah, okay, right, I see what you're saying.
Just didn't realize it was so delayed.
Okay,
Okay, so you want to go to the tab up by the icon row where it says visual and text, right? Down. You see where it says add media, the button there?
yeah,
Okay, go to the right. To the right, that's
right,
the
right, okay, right, okay.
visual is one tab. That's the
Okay.
tab you're in.
Yeah.
Text is the other. Go ahead. Click text.
Okay, oh, I see.
This
Oh,
is
no,
HTML.
you're there, okay, right,
So if you put this whole chunk of text inside a div element, you could then apply a class to it.
right,
If you got to set the class somewhere, I mean, you could do it individually. You could do CSS specific only for this particular chunk of text. That's the hardest way to do it.
right,
But better than that would be, and how do you add a style sheet to a site? Involves something called a child theme. So if you Google child theme style sheet,
right.
you'll get a massive collection of instructions to choose from.
Fun.
This is something that's been around for only 10 or 12 years.
Okay.
And so Tom, Dick, and Harry has their own version of it.
Now, this actually does already have a class because WooCommerce has provided classes for this.
Right. But we haven't found those classes yet, have we?
I did.
Okay. Well, show us.
All I did was selected some text and
Brought up the developer.
right clicking and clicked inspect.
Yeah, sure. And that'll give you the class name.
Yeah.
Yes. So that is one way to do it, but you then have to find the place where that style is located, right? So you can modify it. I don't think we're talking about modifying this globally for product descriptions.
Right, yeah. Well, under, I did a bit of fiddling around with adding CSS, and a few things that worked for a couple of little things. But the question, as I said, is how to identify where you are. And it was under appearance and then customize and then.
There is a way to, in effect, add a style sheet just simply at the bottom of the customizer. So, sorry, go back to the customizer. Additional CSS.
Yeah, well, there's the additional CSS right here.
Right.
Right there, right?
Yeah, so click on that.
I've already done that.
Okay, so this is the way you put in CSS?
Yeah, these are ones that I put in.
Right,
This
so
one
you could
worked.
create
Those
new
two
classes.
didn't work.
Sorry? Well, maybe you have to add something which is referred to as the important declaration, which is just something you add that has a exclamation mark followed by the word important. And that tells the editor, override any other setting on this same target.
Oh, okay. With another exclamation mark, eh?
And
Right.
so when you make a CSS change and it seems to have no effect, it's because somewhere else something's overriding it. Now, if you learn how to use the inspector tool that comes in every browser,
Yeah,
and it will tell you the class name that applies to the text that you want to modify, you can then make that modification here in the additional CSS, and that might work.
Okay.
Let's say it's called Z, XYZ. Let's say that's the class name for text in a product description,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Or WooCommerce. That's what WooCommerce has made the class name. So you could go to this additional CSS and just simply set the class to the text size you want and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, then try adding the important declaration. See if that makes a difference. It should, right?
Okay.
And then finally, if that doesn't work for some reason, well, then maybe the last thing is to have a real style sheet added in the normal way, which is using a child theme.
Uh-huh.
But I would think that this additional CSS, I mean, I've seen it used literally sort of hundreds of times. I personally don't like it, just as a technique, but if it works for you, Godspeed for sure.
Yeah.
Right, Drew? That makes sense?
Yeah, that's pretty much the standard way of doing it is with CSS.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, the old way has been totally blown away by a much more powerful user interface for what CSS addressed, and then a whole bunch more kind of fancy sort of capabilities, grids and RAM units and all kinds of other stuff that, to tell you the truth, I gave up studying the higher levels of CSS quite a while ago. And so I'm happy that they've automated a lot of the complex CSS stuff in this fashion.
When you're doing this additional CSS, should there be spaces between the things you're doing, or
That's the normal form,
Right.
but I don't think it's necessary for the CSS to work. It's just that
Right.
people like it spaced out a little bit, and it
Yeah.
doesn't do anything. It makes it more readable.
Right. Okay.
Same
Right.
with comment tags, right? Putting a comment in
Mm-hmm.
is just to write yourself some piece of information to remind you what you were doing there, or what change you made, or the value that it was before you changed it. To make
Right.
it easy to go back and change it again.
Oh, okay.
Now, when you're considering Astra Pro, because that's worth a few minutes to look at and just look at its capabilities, Astra has a block theme out called, I think it's Spectra. Take a look at it, and if there's a way to go from Astra to Spectra that makes sense for you, that would be, solve a lot of problems, because that has global settings for all these things.
Well, the trouble with that was what I think was causing at least part of my problems with the it was conflicting with something or other, and it was causing that spinning.
Right, but both Astra and WooCommerce have block versions of their products now.
Okay.
And so I haven't looked at the sort of migration steps that one would go through. I mean, how simple they are, how safe they are, how reversible they are, right? But if the answer was yes, easy for all those three things, then I would think it'd be worth considering. The Spectra theme is free, as the Astra base theme is.
Right.
And the WooCommerce has a whole bunch of block components as well. And so you wouldn't be in a situation where you're sort of thinking one way with one editor for some content, and then for the WooCommerce stuff, they're stepping back 10 years to sort of an older way of thinking and doing things, and now learning two different systems in parallel, which is a bit of a strain, I would think.
Well, I don't do a lot of this, but I've done it over a long period of time, and I've done websites in HTML, and I've done websites in Drupal, and I've done websites in Joomla. This is the first one I've tackled with any energy in WordPress, but I've done a fair bit of stuff, but yes, anyway, whatever. Okay, so that certainly gives me some hints, and I'll certainly try it around. I'll probably see you next month.
Yeah, I definitely go to the transcript for the session today, and just check that you've sort of picked up whatever points the way you thought you did. Or, I mean, it's hard to take notes and think and talk at the same time. So that's what that transcript's for.
Yeah.
And you get two versions. One is the YouTube version, and then the other one is something called Grain, if that's running properly, which it should be. And Grain has a more sophisticated AI engine for looking at the transcript, find something in the transcript, click, and then go to the video directly to that particular point being made. It's a little handier in Grain than it is in YouTube.
All right. Yeah.
But your site looks nice, and so what you've spent time doing is productive time, and you're on the right track. I mean, you should just, full speed ahead.
All right. Yeah, just see.
Oh, sorry, that one key thing here for the CSS is to emphasize that is the question mark and the word important with a capital I. And if you just
Question mark, the question
key
mark.
that in CSS and then that particular declaration, and then it'll come back and tell you, well, this is for this purpose and this is where you put it and this is, you know, blah,
Okay,
blah, blah.
right, right. Just looking at this,
Oh, it's,
menu
it's important with an I in front of it, with, sorry, with an exclamation point in front of it, but not.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
So only one exclamation.
There it is
No,
right there.
not one at the end?
Oh, sorry,
No.
that's,
No,
yes,
just
that's
at the
an
beginning.
exclamation mark followed by a capital I,
All right,
followed by the word
okay,
important.
okay, we'll take that out. then. Okay, all right. This,
And I think they call that a declaration. Does that
okay,
sound right to you, Drew? Could be an attribute, could be a
Yeah.
property, could be a declaration. It's not a class, not a selector.
with this, like, this is the WooCommerce sidebar, and it's specifically called that. And I would like to change the spacing on it, because there's, for instance, there's like a very
Okay,
narrow
all the
space there.
same thinking applies
Right,
that there is a spacing, there's a category of CSS controls for spacing.
okay,
Spacing before, spacing after, you know, a zillion different ways to handle the spacing of things.
right,
And so list spacing is probably the most basic and straightforward.
right.
Using, Drew, why don't you fire up a tab with the inspector to show how you get the class name for miscellaneous or the list, which is obviously an unordered list. And then share your screen so that Doug can see exactly what you're talking about.
So I should unshare my screen then, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, there, I will unshare my screen. Okay,
Okay. So I will,
So you have to display his site, right? Have you got the URL?
yeah,
Can you drop the URL for your site, Doug, in the chat so that
okay, if I can just,
so just click in the address bar of your browser tab,
yeah.
click copy, and then paste that into the.
Okay, so I should be sharing my screen now.
Yep.
That's showing this and
So what Doug, what Drew's about to show us is in all the browsers, Chrome, Firefox, Opera, you name it.
yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select some text in the in this sidebar here, like that. And then I'm going to right click on it and click inspect, which is right at the bottom of my pop-up menu here. And at the bottom of my screen is on the left-hand side is the HTML, and on the right-hand side is the CSS. Now, right down here, I don't. Do you guys see my mouse moving? I'm not sure whether you
Yes,
see that.
yes.
Yeah, you do.
right.
But you know
Okay.
what? Could you enlarge your display
What
a
I
little
can
bit?
do, let me see what happens if I reduce the screen. If I,
Uh-huh.
what happens
better.
if I change screen size like that? Is that, what do you,
Yeah,
I
that's-
can't tell what you guys are seeing.
No, this is like 10 times better.
Okay, all right.
Now, could I just interrupt for a second?
Sure.
Doug,
Yeah.
what you see now are two different, you see a row, right? And it's
Right.
got two columns in it. And the left column is the elements tab as indicated above. And
Right,
then the right-hand side it says styles, right?
right,
So what these are different tabs, and you can click going across and you get different data or different displays depending on which of
Right.
these various tabs you click. But these
Right.
are the starting points. The key point that I'm making is that these boxes are adjustable in all respects. That is to say, height and width independently of one another within this window or popped out and made a standalone window so you can configure the information here that we're looking at in whatever's the most convenient way for you to work. This happens to be the way Drew likes to work. And I do it differently. I have a pop-up window to the side, and I make these two columns about equal because I find that the details in the right-hand side, you have to think about, puzzle your way through. And so I give myself more space to work with. But
Okay,
we
so
can
you actually make
get what we
changes-
want from this. So back to you, Drew.
Can you make changes in here?
You actually can, and you can see them live, but they'll only show up in your browser. They won't show up for the rest of the world. And as soon as you click refresh, it'll go back to the way it was.
Or close the tab.
Yeah.
All right, so you can't make permanent changes there.
Not permanent, no.
No, okay.
No, and actually, Doug, you wouldn't want to be able to do that in a inspector tool.
Right, okay, right, okay,
But you could have your additional CSS panel open right beside.
right,
Pick a style off of here, try it out, try a change out. And if you like it, then just make a copy of what you see on the right-hand side, which is the details of the style or
right.
class in question. And then that gives you what you want to work with and modify in your additional CSS.
Okay.
So here's where you see the CSS classes that are important here. For example, this one, the class WC block product categories list item count.
Okay.
Now,
And,
wait a
block-
second, but it's important to note that this is fairly sophisticated CSS.
Yeah.
And so here we have a compound set of attributes, of values. We have two different classes, right? And then there's an adjustment at the end to one of those classes, which I don't know what it is. Depth might be just how many sublevels we have. I mention this because the tendency for both outfits like WooCommerce as well as all the page builders is to make these class names descriptive enough that you can figure out where you're at. But the result of that is you get real long class names, right?
Right.
Like ridiculously long. Like look at this one for the unordered list, the UL element. Can barely be held on one line.
Right.
Anyway, so you can see that, well, Drew, can you show him for, how the, pick any particular class, the WC block product category list item, and just to show the actual CSS.
Yeah, also I want to show on the screen here, if it will, yeah. So you see as I scroll up and down this list, it'll
Right.
actually highlight
Okay, right,
on the screen what it refers to.
okay,
And if I select that one in particular, suppose I only wanted to change the properties of this one item.
right,
I click that one, and now I see, you see over on the right here, there's a secondary list item and its line height is 1.5.
oh,
But
right.
if you said that you want that one and only that one to be 1.6 and the rest of them to be 1.5, you
Okay,
could change
right.
that.
Well, in fact, Drew, you could change that because you're not changing the page.
Yeah.
So anybody who
change
looks
it.
at your page
Yeah.
on your site, Doug, can do what we're doing right now.
Yeah, so let me
Because
change it to
changes are persistent.
1.8. So which one are we on actually here? I've forgotten now. I think it's British, but let's see if it changes. I didn't see much of a change. Oh, hang on. Don't have my numlock on. Okay. And yeah, I'm gonna refresh that, set it back to where it was. So let's go down to here again. So make that 1.8.
Okay,
Oh. No, it actually didn't change it to 1. It just trying to change it to 8 rather than changing it to 1, which is not what I want. Set that again.
What happens, I can't remember what happens when you click the 3-dot menu at the end of the string on the left column. Oh, no, over.
Yeah, I think
over
I
your
see
right,
that,
the middle, in
yeah.
the middle.
In the middle?
Each row, each list item has a 3-dot menu. Just where your cursor is now. Just
Oh,
right there.
that little guy right down there.
What happens?
Yeah.
Just click and let's see.
Yeah, I think it looks like what it does is it expands.
Oh, well, I guess it
Yeah,
provides the text content.
Yeah, so it expands a collapsed menu. For example, see this one? It's collapsed. It's collapsed here.
Okay.
So it's basically the same thing as clicking the little right triangle to open it up to show what's concealed underneath.
Right.
So there's stuff concealed underneath there.
Right.
Okay.
Huh. Oh, all right.
Well,
Yeah, so I don't know why it wasn't letting me just change the line height.
try
Directly.
right clicking on it and see if there's a pop-up to change the
Wait.
value.
No.
Copy value, copy rule, view computed value, cut, copy, paste, paste as plain text, spell check. Right?
Do you see the very top item in the list, copy declaration
Yep.
on your? That's kind of interesting because that was outside of the area that was being selected to share. And what Zoom did was that it expanded the area to encompass this pop-out menu, which was taking up extra real estate. And just a little curiosity. Anyway, I'm going to see if I can change that to hit a key by mistake there. But change that to 1.8 M. That is okay. So I'd made a tiny little change.
Yeah, that would be, I think it is.
I mean, it's
Right.
just barely visible.
Why not like hit it hard? I mean, make it 2 or 3, just
Yeah.
so we can see a
British
dramatic
is
change.
just a little bit lower than the other ones, just a tiny little bit. Hardly.
So this is just a temporary change,
Yeah.
right?
So yeah, make it
Said
2.5
Doug
or something.
worriedly.
Well, no. I'm wondering if it's like. If
Yeah,
it's
okay,
true,
so
then where does it?
we definitely have the right class because going to 2.5 just bursted it open, so clearly we're in the right.
Okay,
Well,
right.
I don't know. I made it 2.5 and
Not
so
because we want to, not because that's the right setting, but because that demonstrates that
Yeah.
it's the right place to make the change.
Right.
yeah. Although when I look at it on my screen, it still looks equally spaced to me.
Actually, yeah.
Well, when you look at it from here, from the enlarged version we've gotten, it's clearly twice the space between
You think
British
so?
and Canadian.
It's
Okay.
changed the spacing on all of them, I think, hasn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, by making the big value rather than a minor change,
Right.
it
Yeah.
just makes the change more obvious that it took effect. That's all.
Right.
We're not arguing for that value, just
Yeah.
to identify the right class to change, make the change big,
Right.
to make it easy to, yes, it worked, no, it didn't. And then when you're in the right place, then you can start tweaking the value in small changes.
So you guys are seeing a significant difference between American, British, Canadian, European.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, because it's interesting. I'm not. That's very odd.
Aha.
Well, I think we've given Doug some stuff to work with to do this.
Yeah.
I would suggest that you
Hence
share your
excluded.
screen of me sharing my screen of you sharing your screen of me sharing my screen, but we might break the internet.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
Anyway, so I'll stop sharing now.
Okay.
All right, guys, I think we didn't get to, and forgive me if I mispronounced your name, Pooya. You still here, Pooya? You've been around for a while. No? Okay, well then we're done.
Okay,
We've
Well,
hit the
thank you very much.
time, and Doug, I task you, as I did with
Yeah.
Gordon, drop by the meetup page
right.
and say, well, it gave me a lot of stuff to figure out. It wasn't an
Yeah.
easy answer,
Keep
but
me
I
up
think
for
it was worthwhile. I mean, if it
Yeah,
was,
for sure. Yeah. Right. That's the way you learn.
yeah.
It was. I've gotten more out of it, more out of this meetup thing than I ever got out of my host or out of the.
Well, please say that, because that's exactly what other people who are sort of, you know exactly sort of that feeling of confusion and uncertainty and just fear of taking a step for fear that there's a big hole you're going to fall into.
Right. Yeah.
That's why I push, use the WordPress playground, use staging sites,
Right.
use InstaWP service, because you can do whatever you like. You can beat away, you can take risks, blow things up, click a button, and you're right back to the beginning, and no harm is caused.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And in these cases, you could import your current site to become a staging site so that you could make some major change to it, wreck it completely, just go back and get another copy.
So you can.
When the copy that you made turns out well, and it's what you want, then you replace the existing site by importing the new site, the new version of the site. And that protects you from loss by screwing up the
So-
main site.
So when you import your site into it, you import the entire thing, database and everything, and
Well, if you want, I mean, normally you would want to if it's got content as well as layout and template and other changes. But
Yeah.
you could limit what they say promoted from staging to production by saying only posts, only pages, only these aspects of the site's internals,
right.
and fine tune it. And then there are more sophisticated tools for these tasks that let you, in a very fine-grained way, specify what you want from the new version to the 100%, 50%, 10%, whatever. And that makes migration both protective but also productive.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
We have a recording, and so it's thank you for all of us. Is like three of you guys are left.
Right.
And we'll see you in another session.
Okay, good night,
Okay.
everybody.
All right.
Take care,
Thanks a
guys.
lot. Thanks a lot.